Hi, just wanted to take you through the quick audio tour of the E-Signature series mic pre. So why don't we get going? What we have going here is we've got our AKG microphone going right into the microphone input of the E-Signature mic pre, and we're just going to play audio through it. Okay, so I've got my dialogue going through it right now. And just to give you we're starting off with the mic pre itself. Again, just the same thing we had earlier with the alpha channel. We've got the drive circuit, the variable harmonics drive, so that we can again come up with all kinds of variations of tone with this drive circuit. And we can also adjust it just by using this knob right here. We're going through the Jensen pre at this particular stage, so we can tweak that sound and get it to be a bit more up front with the second and third harmonics drive, or we can just back off a bit on the third and go towards the third harmonics and give that a little bit more drier sound to it. The listen compressor is a unique 80s type sound that you probably heard all over the 80s. It's been a unique signature sound of the 80s, and what this is basically that very same circuit right on the E-Signature. So without necessarily having to utilize the full dynamics processor, this actually takes quite a bit more to accomplish than just one dynamics filter. So what this is doing it automatically for us just by engaging this, and you can adjust how much listen compression you actually can use versus backing off on it. And you notice it's a very, very unique sound to this versus it turned off. You can sometimes it's overused quite a bit during the 80s, but you can get that subtle compressed effect or that really, really compressed effect. The dynamics section over here again is following the same pattern as the 9000 series channel strip, and with it we've got the fast attack feature, which, as I mentioned before, really is much more effective with things like drums. It really gives you a fantastic clamp on your drums so that you can isolate that initial attack without necessarily having that large uncontrolled boominess of the drum. So it's great for drum signals. With it turned off, you can see how smooth it is. The linear release time really brings that again, makes that signal much more subtle, and by adjusting the release characteristics. You also have a hold section here setting and a ratio, so we can come down really hard on this if we wanted to. Take off the linear selection there, linear release, or just use the linear release turned on. And here it is off without anything, and here it is on. The gate, of course, again, especially in our particular case when we have a lot of noise in the background, can be very useful and quite effective, I might add. And again, over here you can set it to be an expansion gate, 1, 2, 3, or you can have it set to fast attack mode so that it opens up much quicker. And you can see how once you get it set right, it's quite effective. And the filter, like I mentioned earlier, you have the ability to do the high pass filter or the low pass filter. We can set this filter at the input stage so that we can thin the sound down. 1, 2, 3. There it is with the low pass filter turned, high pass filter turned on, excuse me. Here we go, and we can back off on that, and the low pass filter turned on. And as I mentioned earlier, you can have that filter running in parallel with the dynamics, so you can come up with some very interesting effects to your voice with the filter engaged. And you can see there is a dramatic difference just by turning that filter, placing that filter in parallel with the compressor. Now let's take all that off for now. Cut off the filters, and let's look at the EQ section really quick. As I mentioned, you've got the E series and the G, which can be turned on over here. Again, it's probably best we do this with some music, so I'm going to switch over really quick to our computer, and we'll do a quick music demonstration of the EQ. All right, so we switched over to our digital audio workstation. We're going to play some drums to this and take you through the EQ section. Okay, just like I mentioned earlier, the brown knob has a very unique characteristic. So we're just going to start with our EQ flat here. Okay, we're just going to start with the low end. Now right now it's just simply set to a shelf, but you can see how it's got a very interesting characteristic to it. A little bit different from what you heard earlier. When you set that bell on, it's very, very aggressive, as you can see. And you get that interesting effect, especially when you start to tune it around 100 hertz or 80 hertz. Okay, so the mid bands again are a G series bass until you actually hit the black setting. It's a little bit more subtle setting, but again, we just ran out of music. Back that up a bit. On the mid band here. Now again, once you use this with the dynamic section, in the fast attack mode, a little forward please. A little bit of compression. And you can see how you can get how this EQ can be very, very effective. There it is with the EQ in parallel to the dynamic section. And there it is in series with the dynamic section. And without the dynamic section. Well, there it is. Some of the audio features of the E-Signature channel.